This is Beth Cooper from Santa Fe, New Mexico with another Bluebird Chat, this time with acrylic landscape painter Farley Lewis. Beth Cooper from Santa Fe, New Mexico with Bluebird Studios, and I'm here for another Bluebird Chat, this time with Farley Lewis. Farley is an acrylic landscape painter. We met, when did we meet, Farley? We met in
2020.
2020. Yeah. Okay.
2020. Yeah, it was about the only event I did that year.
Yeah. So we're just gonna sit here and chit chat. You got your coffee?
I do. In fact, I'm using the mug that I bought in your beautiful city.
Oh yeah, you sure do. Look, they're
Yeah,
kind of the same, the black and
kind of
white.
almost match. Yeah. So when I drink of this, I think of you guys in Santa Fe.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I'm Beth Cooper with Bluebird, and we offer fine art workshops. I bring in the best artists I can find across the country, and I run them in the spring and the fall only. And this year, Farley is coming to our studio I did my homework time, May 9th, 10th, and 11th. It's going to be a 3-day studio only, right, Farley?
Well, I like to ask the participants if they all have a heart to go outside, so it's easier. It's a little easier to teach indoors. And so I always start the workshops inside, but sometimes if everybody wants to, we'll move outdoors. I love to plein air paint. So
Yeah.
it's kind of hard to talk me into that.
Well, one thing the students can do, certainly just do some short walks around our property and around the ranch for photo references for the students to take home with them. Because do you remember that morning we walked down the Arroyo and I think you were just blown
Beautiful
away by the views.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in a painter's paradise.
It's been fun since I met you in 2020 to just watch your career just take off. So to see how your paintings are just phenomenal. I think they have a Richard Schmid quality.
Wow. Well, thank you.
Some of the new that you did one recently with the snow scene that I literally thought, is that Richard Schmid? I mean,
yeah. Well, thank you. That he's been an influence on me. So
he has.
That's a real compliment. So
yeah. Well, so Farley sent me his day-to-day schedule for a workshop. Now, what really caught my eye on this, I've got it right here, was habits of great painters, mindset of great painters. And don't we all need to know about the habits of great painters? I mean, you got to know that. I mean, I'm going to change the screen here, so we'll do a speaker view, but I just want you to kind of tell us a little bit about your 3-day workshop.
Okay. Well, the demos are the times whenever I kind of zoom in on painting, and we look at composition, designing eye-catching compositions, using values effectively, color harmony, how to mix color, just a lot of really good information to help you learn how to paint better. Those are when I zoom in on those specific things. On the habits of great painters, mindsets of great painters, those are shorter sessions I do first thing in the morning, and those focus not on doing better paintings, but on being a better painter. In other words, I've watched people in workshops, and they are starting to grasp the principles of good composition, the principles of color, the principles of how to manipulate edges, get variety, all those things. But they haven't yet formed the kinds of habits and the mindsets that propel them into being much, much better painters.
Yeah, that's
right. You kind of have to develop both things, don't you?
You really do. Talked about that mindset. And honestly, I don't think you could have a successful career without a mindset like that.
Exactly. Yeah. Even one of the things I hear often is, I want to be bolder and looser. Well, bold and loose is not a technique, it's a mindset. Behind a bold brush stroke and bold brushwork, it becomes a whole lot easier.
Yeah. And I don't want to scare people away that thinking, well, I don't really want an art career. I don't want,
Oh, no,
they're here because they want to paint.
exactly.
Tell me about that level of artist that you will want in your class. I mean, you will take beginners.
Sure. And intermediates and, kind of anyone. This is my introductory workshop. I do a couple of other workshops. This is the first one I teach at a new venue. That doesn't mean it's for beginners particularly, but it means that it starts at the beginning. So it's the kind of workshop that a beginner can glean a lot from. Intermediate.
The workshop space in my studio is in our barn with our horses, but they're very separate. The horses are
Yeah.
way on one side and the painting studio's on the other. We have lots of equipment. I have easels, metal easels, but you're free to bring your own plein air setup if you have one.
Yes.
I have tables and chairs, model stands, full kitchen, bathroom, everything. And
Okay.
I provide a full continental breakfast now. That was new this
Yeah.
past year. And everybody's really liked it. Eggs, hard-boiled eggs, yogurt, bagels, things like that, coffee. We bring in lunches. They're $15 per student, but then we don't have to like run out and get it and break up the
Right.
flow. And that's been really fun. I just want to let everybody know that, you're getting more than just going to a normal workshop. We do a group dinner at a historic or well-known restaurant downtown. We might take a start 30 minutes early one day and then go and break 30 minutes early and hit galleries down on Canyon Road. And so that's really fun, and everybody's enjoyed that.
It's worth pointing out that Santa Fe is kind of the, what do you call it, the mecca of fine art in the United States. I mean, there's more galleries in Santa Fe than probably any city in the whole nation.
Looking at your thing here, and some of the questions I might have if I were thinking about taking this class is, acrylic. You're an acrylic painter.
Yeah.
But you'll take other mediums.
Yes. The reason is because I'm dealing with the elements of art, not specifically acrylic techniques versus oil techniques. The two mediums that work best in my workshops are acrylic and oil because there is that crossover. However, I have watercolor and pastel artists take my workshops too. It's a composition transcend mediums.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. About creative block-in, what is that?
It's one of those things that I almost have to show you.
Oh,
So it's basically starting your block-ins in out of the box ways. So for example, sometimes I do a block-in with a rag and it works. It's just you think differently. And I do block-ins really quickly with a goal to get texture in the toning and the block-in. Strictly, it can almost cross over into just toning a canvas. Fast, I don't have a standard way to do block-ins. So I kind of like to give people lots of ideas and let them go away and develop their own style. The more you paint, the more you come to a new scene and have a sense about the better way to start it. I do have processes for how I proceed. Oftentimes, I have a game plan in my mind, but I'm flexible so that I can be creative as I go and not feel like I've got to be locked into a.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like one of the best. That's good,
Yeah.
because are supposed to be what else. So now, what about demos?
Well, I do a new demo each morning and I focus on the stuff that I share that morning. So the first day,
Okay.
yeah, and creative brushwork and bold brushwork and all that. And that's why on Saturday is the day I talk about mindsets also, because I had mentioned to you that mindsets are a key part of doing bold, creative. Kind of how I think of it is I look at us, we're representational painters, which means the very first thing we do is we learn to represent things well. So it's like if I had a goal to write poetry in Spanish, my very first goal would be to be able to speak Spanish with clarity.
Mhm.
Once I could do that, then I could speak it poetically and write a poem. So whenever we talk about painting poetic landscapes, there's two parts to it. There's the first part, which is learning to speak the language of art. It's a visual language. So we want to learn to speak that language with clarity, and then we want to speak it with poetic flair.
You know, one thing about your work is that you just have a really good grasp of perspective.
Thank you.
Are you going to talk about that?
Yes, I sure will. There's, as far as perspective, there's linear perspective that things get smaller in the distance, but I spend a good amount of time on atmospheric perspective. I like to talk about that.
You know, Albert Handel is a good friend of mine and kind of mentored me through the years. He always says, if you don't know perspective, he says, for God's sakes, don't put the barn in the painting. It's like if you have this beautiful scene and you have a building structure and the perspective is off,
Yeah,
it's gone. The
well,
painting, unless that's
exactly.
your intention, it's
Right,
some
exactly.
different reason. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's a very good point. And that goes back to learning to represent things well.
Mhm.
And then as you go, you learn how to do it more and more poetically in your own style, if you will.
Yeah, that's so true. I mean, and that's the big key in being an artist, is finding your voice in your work.
Yeah.
And you
Doing something like this with the students. Would you like to see that real quick, or you want to?
Yeah,
Okay.
go for it. Oh my gosh, Ghost Ranch?
Yes.
Look what I've got on today. My Ghost Ranch shirt.
Oh, that is too cool.
Plan that.
Yeah.
And I urged my students to come in a day early so they could go up to Ghost Ranch, take photographs, tour the Georgia O'Keeffe home.
Yeah.
And you need reservations for that. So if you're interested, Abiquiu, New Mexico, Georgia O'Keeffe. Okay, Farley, well, thanks. And stay warm.
Hey, thanks for